So, did he take risks? Example, non-cooperation, yeah, quit India, SALT movement, yeah, what else? Domain expertise. Which one? Yeah, non-violence is partly his clarity, but he also had a strategy. Non-violence was a strategy. Would you agree? So, domain expertise, he was a lawyer. He actually used the ability to negotiate and the ability to take a stance. And also there were some instances where he said, I refuse to pay 1 rupee to the judge. It's in the movie Gandhi. That is his domain expertise, because he knew legally he was right. Morally he was right, and more importantly legally he was right. Because he realized there's no law to that effect. He actually used his law background in South Africa. Now his morally was conscience was clear. Professor Anand told me this. He said, you all know Professor Anand, right? Yeah. He said Gandhi is one of the few people whose head and his heart were aligned. A beautiful statement actually. Very beautiful statement. So learning. Gandhi used to learn all the time. He used to read every day. So many things. Okay? Collaboration, networking, people skills. If you think about it, right, in the history of India, the person who created the most number of leaders is Gandhi. If you think about it, in my view, one of the failings of the Anna Hazare movement is they don't have one leader in one state, in each state. That's an opinion, right? So if you actually go to your cafeteria, what's it called, that restaurant? Upstairs, what is that thing? Tiffany's. There is a nice painting, mural of all the leaders. Think about it, right? Today, can we do a mural for any of the other political parties? Real leaders, I mean, they can assemble a mass of people. And he did that across communities. So these are seeds for you to think about. And execution, obviously, he would go at it and go at it and go at it. So these are some examples, right? That's him addressing somebody, writing, and then he was a lawyer. This is the SALT movement, and that's the Quit India movement. So, am I a student of leadership is a very important question for you to ask. This is the power of observation. This is the power of observation. If there is time, I'll tell you stories of what it took for me to be a speaker like I am today. I was a very shy boy coming out of IIT. It was awkward, very awkward. But there were certain things that inspired me, and share that with you. I don't know how we are doing on time, but we'll do that. So, entrepreneurship, I think there was a question on entrepreneurship, right? You guys talked about that as well. So typically, how many want to be entrepreneurs or thinking about it? Great, delighted, delighted. Do it. Just do it. That's the way it works, by the way. If I were to forget all the left-hand side I'm showing you, just do it. Just do it. That's the way it works. The first company I started on my dining table, two of us, a friend came by and said, let's start a company. I said, let's start a company. I still have the dining table. Okay? So you need some kind of an idea and some kind of a value proposition for a product or a service, right? So it all starts with a seed. Things change over time. So there has to be some innovation, intellectual property, some unique selling proposition. You may want to think about first mover advantage. You may want to think about a vertical market or a geographical market. Make sense? Team. You go for funding, the first question they'll ask you is, do you have an idea? Fine, we get it. Then there are fancy business school words like total available market and all that stuff. They'll figure it out themselves, the VCs. But team is what they'll ask for. What do they look for in a team? Aptitude for risk. Is this team willing to go all the way? Tenacity. And willing to take risks and willing to change. Is this team have complementary skills? Does this team have chemistry? Okay, will they, make 1 + 1 - 3 when times get tough? Roles, who's responsible for what? Not necessarily titles. Okay, one guy is the coding guy, one guy is the architect guy. Doesn't mean they won't do different things, but who's got expertise in what? And have they worked together previously, or have they done a project together previously, or have they, done your annual, the equivalent of Mardi Gras, what it's called now? Sarang. Have they participated in those things? Those are pluses. to demonstrate that you have actually worked in teams. Validation and funding. So you need to validate your idea, go to some early customers, and so on. And where do you get initial funding from? Early adopters. Either you're self-funded with some initial revenues, you do some consulting work, do some things on the side. Friends and families and angels. You understand all this? Yeah? Silence means no. Yes. Thank you. And then you go for the next round of funding after you have some initial customers. Series A. There's a book called Crossing the Chasm. CHASM. Read that, because sometimes the idea can be adopted by a few early adopters, and then it seems like everybody is ready to get it. Suddenly it falls into a chasm because you can't go beyond the early adopters. And that's a challenge for many a startup. Crossing the Chasm is written by a guy called Jeffrey Moore, and it's been around for a while. Okay, and then you grow, you get another round of funding, or you go public and get money from the public, so on and so forth. Does that help? No? Do you have anything else on entrepreneurship, or we can do that in the Q&A? Yes? Okay, so the question is, how do we bring it all together? What is it that we need to do as human beings if we want to be leaders? What should be our inner energies? What are the kinds of things that we need to do in our internal thought process? Okay, what are the attributes we need? So awareness matters. Okay, fundamentally awareness matters. So what does that mean? We have to understand the self. It begins with knowing who we are. So for that, there is something called as a life tree that I normally talk about, and I'll just touch upon it right now. There's something called the top of the tree, and each of us has a life tree of our own. Okay, where we sort of take stock of our skills, our outcomes in life, our special gifts and talents. What am I good at? How do I think? I'm analytical. What am I good at? I'm good at problem solving. I'm good at strategic problem solving. I'm good at analytical problem solving. I'm data oriented. I'm good in music. These are skills. I'm good in three-dimensional thinking, connecting the dots. These are my skills. The root of the tree is my core values. What gives me a kick? Not ganja. What gives me a kick? Okay? Not weed. In addition to that is. You need that too, by the way. So, what gives me a kick? Core values. For example, gratitude for me is important. If somebody comes to me and says, thank you, I learned something from this, or I appreciate your time, that fulfills me. So it turns out in life, as you go to middle age, this becomes more important. If you don't nourish the roots, the tree wilts. A good example is you're a damn good designer. Then your wife's auntie's grandmother told her that he has to become a vice president. So you said, okay, I'm going to be a manager, and then a director. What are you doing? You're doing project management. But you actually like to build things. By then you're already 40 years old and you've got 3 flats and you've got mortgage payments. So you're at a crossroads in life. So at some point, and then guess what's going to happen? If this wilts, the top of the tree, this is not nourished, the top of the tree wilts. Your outcomes fall apart. Because you're not doing what you really, really enjoy. Or you go out of IIT and become an investment banker. You make a lot of money. Outcomes are great. Then you say, man, I wish I could build bridges, or I could build a piece of product. You have to make a choice at some point. Right? So this is what fulfills a person. And that leads to the center, which is the trunk, which is, what is my life purpose? Why am I here? And that's a question that comes to all of us, at particularly my age and so on. So I told myself my life purpose is to give back and spend time. I quit Microsoft. Right? So this is what we need to do. Okay? I also am trying to balance my family needs. I go spend time with my parents. So we all make these adjustments in life based on clarity. So that's self-awareness. Why do we need to have awareness? Because once we understand ourselves, only then can we understand others. Okay? And so a gentleman called Carl Jung Any MBA, other students here, psychology students here? You have heard of this guy? Yes or no? Anybody heard of this? Yeah. So he's done some remarkable work on this because we all perceive differently and we communicate differently. Some of us write, some of us speak, some of us are thinkers, some of us are feelers, some of us sense, some of us are intuitive, some of us are extroverts, some of us are introverts. Bill Gates, for example, if you go and tell him that, I have this great idea, I want to do this, Bill, can we meet for 10 minutes? He says, do me a favor, just write it down, put your thoughts on a paper, I'll read it. Now, if you're not the type who sort of wants to do that and you feel that, you really you like people to ideate on a chalkboard, you're going to think, my God, man, this guy is all analysis paralysis. He just wants everything written down. But you have to just understand that people think differently. They digest things differently. Okay? How many times you've been in a room where there are people like me who are extroverts, who are ideators, who talk a lot, who give ideas, who are bubbling, full of energy. Then there are people in the team who are quiet, who are absorbing everything. Doesn't mean they're not contributing. But, excuse me, to get something from them, we need to involve them. Excuse me. I was fortunate to do business in 17 countries. One of the things I do is share my learnings from global cultures. Let me tell you, how much time do we have? See, in creative cultures, India being one of them, or you take Silicon Valley or Italy, let us say I make a commitment to you and I mess up. Okay, I commit to you that I'll get done by a certain day. I mess up. I'll go to tell my wife, I screwed up. I'm an idiot. Is that normal? Come on. Yeah. In Japan, it's different. If I'm Japanese, and you could be Indian, you could be anybody. I commit to you. I screw up. I go tell my wife I made a mistake. But I made him look like an idiot. So what should I do? I should commit harakiri. Why? Because I'm scum. I'm not worth my word. I cannot be trusted. I'm a weed in the forest. I'm the weakest link in the chain of the partnership. That's how the Japanese psyche works. So in a global team, you have to understand what done means. And believe me, this insight I got at the age of 31 when we had to deliver to Japan. Our team was supposed to just convert our product to Japanese, which was a 15-day effort. And my team that was doing the English version in India and USA, this was 1992 story. The English product was not working. When I went to Tokyo, I found that out.